You see them every day, the janitors. Mopping your floors. Emptying your bins. Invisible. Unnoticed. Sometimes ridiculed. But what if the man you laughed at, the one you looked down on, held the key to everything? This is a story of betrayal, power, and a truth that exploded when the CEO himself walked in. For 6 months, Elijah Thomas arrived at 4:30 a.m. every day to Building 27, home to Revel Tech Corporation. Dressed in faded overalls, his mop cart squeaked across marble floors while the rest of the building still slept. To most of the employees, he was just the janitor. He never spoke unless spoken to. He kept his eyes down. He cleaned faster than anyone else, but slower when no one was watching. Because Elijah was watching. And listening. And remembering. By 9 a.m., the energy inside Revel buzzed with ambition. Interns in fitted suits. Sales reps in Bluetooth headsets. Executives sipping overpriced coffee while barking into phones. And then there was Trent Godfrey, head of internal operations. Loud. Smug. The kind of man who thought a nameplate gave him permission to abuse power. Trent loved making examples out of a lesser staff. "Hey, janitor," he called out one morning. "You missed a spot by the executive restroom." Elijah had just finished mopping there. "Yes, sir," he said calmly, walking back. Trent smirked and tripped Elijah's bucket. Water splashed across the hallway. "Now you missed a bigger spot." The interns laughed. A few gasped. Elijah didn't flinch. He picked up the bucket and continued cleaning. Later that week, Elijah overheard something in the 11th floor conference room while cleaning outside. The voices were heated. "Trent, we can't keep rerouting funds from the East Wing project," someone said. Trent's voice snapped back, "It's handled. The invoices are covered. No one's going to check the system. Especially not the janitor." The room erupted in laughter. Elijah froze. Rerouting funds? Fraud? He made a mental note of the date, time, and voices. And continued sweeping. By week 3, Elijah started collecting more than garbage. He'd find shredded documents in bins, half-intact purchase orders, payment slips, and internal memos marked confidential. He taped them together in a small notebook in his locker. Piece by piece, a puzzle began to form: fake vendors. Ghost invoices. Unauthorized transfers to offshore accounts. Trent was bleeding the company dry. And others were in on it. But no one suspected Elijah. Why would they? One afternoon, during a department town hall in the break room, Elijah was seen refilling the paper towels nearby. Trent spotted him and barked into the mic, "Hey, folks, our MVP janitor's here." Round of applause, huh? People chuckled awkwardly. I mean, who else can mop floors and eavesdrop at the same time? The laughter grew louder. Elijah nodded silently and walked away. But he knew what was coming. Because that morning, he had sent an anonymous package. The next day, everything changed. A sleek black sedan pulled into Revel's underground lot. Out stepped Elliot Rourke, the elusive CEO who hadn't visited in nearly a year. Executives scrambled. Trent adjusted his tie nervously. By noon, the CEO had summoned the department heads to the 12th floor boardroom. Elijah, cleaning nearby, caught a glance from Elliot as he walked past. It was subtle. But familiar. 30 minutes into the closed-door meeting, Elliot Rourke placed a thick folder on the table. "Gentlemen," he began, "this folder contains proof of internal fraud, perpetrated by senior members of this very company." Gasps. Confusion. Trent laughed nervously. "With all due respect, sir, where would you even get such proof?" Elliot slowly turned toward him. "A janitor gave it to me." The room fell silent. "He overheard you. Reconstructed your shredded documents. Documented everything. Including this." He clicked a remote, and surveillance footage appeared, Trent stuffing envelopes, authorizing payments at midnight, and meeting with a vendor in the parking lot. It was over. Trent and 2 others were escorted out by security within the hour. Investigations followed. Charges were filed. But the biggest shock came the next morning. A company-wide email read, "Please welcome Elijah Thomas as the new head of Integrity and Ethics Division. Effective immediately." Elliot Rourke, CEO. Employees stared at the screen in disbelief. Turns out, Elijah wasn't just a janitor. He was a former forensic auditor, once known for exposing high-level corporate fraud. He had been planted at Ravel by Elliot himself, after anonymous tips suggested internal theft. He worked undercover. Quietly. Patiently. Invisibly. And justice? Was mopped clean. They laughed at the janitor. Ignored him. Humiliated him. But in the end, he was the only one who knew the truth. Because power isn't always loud. Sometimes, it wears overalls, and carries a mop. Respect isn't about titles. And in a world full of masks, sometimes the quietest one in the room is holding the loudest truth.